If you have questions, concerns, and are just lost when it comes to planning for retirement, meet Steve Hoyle and Derrick Caldwell of the Hoyle Financial Group. You guys help individuals every single day. Steve, you've been doing this nearly 40 years, over 2 decades. Derrick, for you, you've been helping people cross that retirement finish line. And, they're lucky enough to be able to go into retirement with ease, without that anxiety. And they get the excitement of creating that bucket list, all because you help them retire Texas style. Of course, that's the name of the show. Steve, what does it mean to you when you say retire Texas style?
Well, I think it means bigger and better, better planning, having a plan and working that plan. So many people come to see us and, failing to plan or planning to fail is not a retirement plan. But when we really sit down and work with people and they become our partners in their retirement, it's about a plan. We figure out their Social Security aspect. We figure out their tax planning to make sure they pay the least amount of money in retirement in taxes. And it can wipe out 30 to 40% of that income if you don't have great planning. And then also, Jess, we really help people assess the risk and make sure we mitigate it to make sure you don't get right up on retirement or in retirement and get wiped out by the market. Mm-hmm. When you really sit down and put the whole thing together, that's retire in Texas style. That's what it's about.
And Derrick, what about you? What does retire Texas style mean to you?
That we get down in the trenches. I'll say that. That's what I love about working here, everybody, is that there's so many advisors out there. We know they're on every corner, but we do things differently here. We want you to retire Texas style, and that means dealing with the dirty stuff. We're talking about long-term care. We're talking about taxes. We're talking about Social Security, and advisors don't want to touch that. It is a lot of work. It's convoluted, and you really have to learn how all that works and how it benefits your client. And that's what we focus on, is making a holistic plan that our client can walk away with and feel fantastic about going into retirement. That's our whole goal. And we're not going to tell you, hey, go sign up for Social Security and call me when it's done. No, we'll walk you through that. There are tips and things we can do for you and help you sign up for things like that, and Medicare and all the stuff that honestly nobody wants to talk about.
I think, Derrick, I even will take that one step further. Sure, we're all financial advisors, but what we really are at Hoyle Financial is we're retirement planners. You can go out there and use a broker and put your money in the market, do the ups and downs of it. You can go out there and find all different types of financial professionals, but there's very few of us that really have spent the last 30, 35 years focusing on the final phase of life called retirement. People come to see us and they have a plan, or they think they have a plan, and they're like, wait a minute, have you not thought about what the taxes are going to look like in this? Oh, wait a minute, you're just going to take your Social Security at 62? Wait a minute, let's use a different bucket of money to get you to full retirement age, 66 or 67. Or if people live a long time in your family, maybe you need to take that 8% roll up all the way to age 70. But doing it different and really figuring out what your options are and then focusing on those. It's kind of like going just to Luby's cafeteria back in the day. You can have the salads, you can have the steak, you can have the Jell-O, whatever, but putting it all together in the right meal is what matters. Well, it's no different than what we do for people, is we sit down and say, here are your options. If you do this one, this is what, from our experience, is going to be the outcome. Or have you thought about this? But what I really think when we talk about retire Texas style is showing you the options and letting you figure out what is the very best option for you, your family, your future, and your legacy. That's what it's about.
Your goal to help somebody retire Texas style is to help them retire bigger and better than everybody else out there, right? We want that sturdy income plan that's going to last you to and through retirement. And I tell you what, there's lots of folks out there that need your help. Listen to these stats. Almost a third of Americans have nothing saved for retirement. There's a new study that found out 40% don't contribute to any form of retirement fund, and then 30% just never expect to retire. So a lot of experts blame this on, financial literacy gap. We don't know enough. We're not educated enough. So therefore, we're going to fail to plan. What is your take on this when somebody comes in and they say, I don't even know where to begin. I'm not sure what to do. How do you help them plan for successful retirement?
I'm going to say, first of all, tell them they're not alone. It's a huge education gap in our country. And honestly, it breaks my heart to hear those stats that you just said, Jess. I mean, I feel like that a lot of times that they don't even start because they don't know how to, or they feel discouraged that it's not going to turn out to be anything meaningful for them. And the time value of money is fantastic. Compounding interest, all these things that you just got to start somewhere. And, I had a client the other day that was telling me I'm his financial mechanic, which I thought was really funny because he's like, look, I don't want to get underneath the car and fix it with you, but I want to know what needs to be fixed, and you tell me how you're going to fix it. And that really hit hard there, that we try to do that for everybody. And we do 9 to 12 education classes throughout Texas during the year because we understand that gap is huge. And educating people on what they have and things that they can do better. I mean, there's so many different changes in the last 20 years in retirement planning, right, Steve? That's what we do on a daily basis.
It is what we do. But I think what's interesting, Derrick, is how many people spend so much time worrying about that final phase of life called retirement, but they don't take action. It's funny, when people take action, they call us, they either do a Zoom call, they sit down with us. What they find is that extra added peace of mind, knowing that they're going to be set up all the way through retirement, having that plan, having those options, if this happens or that happens, I have a strategy for it. And I think that's what's really important. I see so many people that tell me, when they come to see us, I'm not going to live past age 70. Well, what if you do? I see a lot of people in retirement thought, I never thought I'd still be here. We have some clients in their 90s that are going, I didn't plan for this. Well, what they meant was they have plenty of money. They just didn't want to be around for it. But you really think about that. We don't get to choose. But when you sit down and really strategically look at the numbers, it's 75% about the emotions and 25% about the numbers.
Steve, Derrick, are you guys big fans of the one and only Jerry Seinfeld?
Of course. I honestly, I love Seinfeld as a show, but also he's really big into cars, which I'm into cars too. And
that's right.
him and Jay Leno, they had a show too, where they're driving around in cars and stuff like that. So
yeah, he does that. Yeah, I forgot about the car show. Well, he's been a busy guy. He is actually now a billionaire, and he can thank his little sitcom show, ran just a couple years, 9 seasons, called Seinfeld.
What's the show about?
It's about nothing.
No story?
No, forget the story.
You gotta have a story.
Who says you gotta have a story?
So everybody I know is a character on the show.
Right.
And it's about nothing.
Absolutely nothing.
So you're saying I go into NBC and tell them I got an idea for a show about nothing.
Exactly.
They say, what's your show about? I say nothing.
There you go.
I think you may have something here.
Oh my gosh, what a wonderful show. And even now that he's being called a billionaire, just about half of that billion, 465 million to be exact, came from syndication deals just from the sitcom alone. And then he's got other things going on, his stand-up, and he had a Netflix deal at one point. He dabbles around in some real estate. So in showbiz, the regular payments from residuals are considered what they call mailbox money, right? They just show up in your mailbox. So made me think, how can we get that same thing in retirement, Derrick?
Yeah, so there's several different strategies there. One of them is dividends. That's been a big thing that people have asked about in the last year or so. And dividends produce income for people in retirement. And one thing you want to look at is risk tolerance with that. Is dividend stable companies will produce generally a very stable dividend line. And a dividend is just a payment made to you for an investment in a company, right? So Coca-Cola is a big one that Warren Buffett's always been in and everything. So that's something that you could look towards as far as taking on dividends, but you still run the risk of that company's ups and downs in their stock price and everything. So we generally look towards fixed index annuities for that dedicated income stream. And that allows you to take a guaranteed income source, a guaranteed payment to you each and every month for as long as you and your spouse live, or as long as you live. And that guarantees you more income in retirement than when you can do traditionally with dividends, or even just regular rule of 4%. That's really outdated, by the way. That, that's where in the past, people said you could take out 4% on your investment, and that's what they feel like is a good regular rate of withdrawal. Well, with these fixed index annuities, that means Steve are able to get people into that you could take up to even 7-8% in income and a guaranteed income source. And there's very few dividends out there that can even come close to that. And we also mitigate your risk by going into fixed index annuities. So I love that product for income for sure. Steve, what do you think?
But Derrick, I think that that's a great for people. But when you have done some planning and have time on your side in a couple of years, you can let that money roll up at 9.5% each year. So say you were to get $7,000 a month, start out the gate. Well, that could roll up at 9.5% every year. So down the road, if you had time on your side, 5 or 6 years, 7 years, up to 10 years. I mean, we're seeing people, that use other buckets of money and let that income roll up, or they still work, but they take control of their money and let it roll up to 13 and 14% of how much money that you put in the account to start with. So it's huge. And when I talk about 13 or 14%, I'm talking about getting that each and every year, no matter who's the last one to pass away, but knowing you have that income. But I think one of the things that we take it one step further is we really have other catch-up buckets to make sure that you keep up with the buying power. People come see us all the time, Jess, and say, my parents' Social Security buys nothing now. Or people in retirement have been in retirement 5 years, and they say, my Social Security does not have the same buying power. That's why we use these tools to make sure you keep up with that buying power. If you needed $6,000 or $10,000 in retirement, a few years down the road, you need a lot more money to sustain the same buying power because of the silent killer inflation. But don't let inflation ruin your income strategy. Derrick, you really hit the nail on the head. So many people come to see us and say, I'm taking money out on a monthly basis. When we have that large market correction that people are talking about, I don't know if you've seen it in the news, but they talk about that we will have in 2024 the largest market correction in my lifetime at my age. I'm 61. Wow. All of a sudden you do that and you're taking that same amount of money. So you're taking your income out of discounted dollars. Don't do that. Now, I think everybody needs to have money in the market. They need risks to keep up with inflation. But when it comes to your income, make sure that it's a steady Betty. Make sure it's going to be there when you need it.
Well, Stephen, you talked about like the market going up and down, right? So comparing dividends here to fixed index annuities, dividends can be cut, right, Steve?
Right.
Company gets in trouble, they cut it. Bam, your income source is down. Maybe your stock price is down. You lose value there. So fixed index annuities, Steve, the great thing about those is they guarantee that monthly check, that amount, right? So you're not going to get a cut there. And that puts a lot of the risk on the insurance company as a whole. And Steve, I'll always remember we had, bless her heart, she passed away a couple of years ago, but she was 103 years old, Jess. And she had, Steve set her up with a fixed index annuity with an income account there. And so she'd been taking income for like 40, 50 years, right? So she told me one day, I went to visit her and she said, Derrick, this account Steve set up for me, I haven't had money in there in 22 years. And she looked at me and says, the insurance company wishes I was dead.
She used to talk about that all the time. But, Derrick, it's really interesting. Nobody wants the A word. They don't want an annuity, but they want all the benefits of that.
Of an annuity,
yeah. I don't want an annuity, but I want this. I want safety. I want income, or I want tax-deferred growth. All these different things we can do with these products. And that's why the sales have just quadrupled over the last couple of years. It's huge. And, it's funny, Derrick, not many people can say that have been around and watched 2008. I was there for it. This is starting my 35th year. And what I really found is people want those attributes. Susie Orman, we were talking about earlier in the show, she used to say, annuities are horrible. And now she's like, well, now there's this reason you should buy an annuity, that reason.
Right.
She's kind of come around because she's had to. It's just interesting to see these experts. They've kind of have become woke. They're waking up. It's exciting. Derrick, but I think there's some horrible annuities out there too. So I think it's finding the right annuity for your client. So for today, if you don't have an annuity, you don't know about annuities, call us. Let's talk about it. But if you have an annuity, you don't know if it's the right annuity. Maybe you've lost a bunch of money, but boy, you're hanging it on for that income to make sure you have that income. Listen, we can beat that income. 9 times out of 10, we can beat that income. So what you need to do is get an annuity x-ray from Hoyle Financial. Let's figure out those fees. The fees aren't on your variable annuity, but I'm going to tell you they're 5, 6, or 7%. Just because they're not on the statement doesn't mean they're not there. So if you have that annuity, you need to call us or go to retiretexasstyle.com and start texting us. We'll send you a secure link, get your statement, and together we'll partner and figure out what your annuity that you have really is and make sure if it's the perfect annuity for you or not.
If you'd like to sit down with Steve and Derrick or a member of the Hoyle Financial Group, visit retiretexasstyle.com.
Hoyle Financial is not affiliated with nor endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any other government agency and does not provide legal or tax advice. Please consult with your attorney, accountant, and or tax advisor for advice concerning your particular circumstances. Annuity guarantees rely solely on the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing insurance company. Bonus annuities may include higher surrender charges, longer surrender charge periods, lower caps, higher spreads, or other restrictions that are not included in similar annuities that do not offer a premium bonus feature. Read your contract for restrictions, limitations, or penalties. By contacting us, you may be provided with information about insurance and annuity products offered through Hoyle Financial Group, Texas Insurance License 1719183.